Welcome to a bold and distant future. It's October 9th. It's John Lennon's birthday. And they're
Imagine
doing...
that.
Yeah, imagine that. They're doing some kind of an event, I think I heard. It's like a release of one of his live concerts. Maybe his Madison Square Garden concert? Oh, well.
And the many people rolling in their graves, I'm sure John is as well.
Yeah. Power to the people.
Yeah.
There's no political voice, it seems like, in the entertainment industry anymore, you know?
Yeah.
Pretty well
Maybe-
trying to snuff it.
Maybe Bruce Springsteen to some degree and a few others, but
Yeah, I think
Robert
Neil
De Niro.
Young is kind of out there.
yeah, that's
De
true.
Niro,
Yep.
Definitely De Niro.
Ron Perlman.
Yeah, I've seen some of his like TikTok video things. He's pretty outspoken. Well, I have to remind everyone that October 18th is the No Kings protest. There are tons and tons of them. I'm hoping we have a big turnout this time.
Wow.
The map is loaded.
When I first looked at that, I was going, wow, there's not very many. I wonder what's happening. But that was like 2 months ago. Now, that looks pretty promising.
This
There
was
we go.
this was shared to me by Scooter, and I thank him for that. Great little news source. Go to fark.com. I don't know much about it. I've only been there a couple of times.
It presents very interesting news with very interesting perspectives, but it's highly satirical. Well worth looking at.
Well, speaking of satirical, this feels like a satire, but it's actually true.
Is there somebody we can write and say, please don't make this?
I'm a little confused whether it's an actual coin or if it's a commemorative coin. So it says they're commemorative. So I think it's one of those things where they mint a coin for 35 cents and it's a dollar coin and then they sell it for $20.
Who gets
Well,
it?
that's going to be a stocking stuffer this year.
Maybe they sell it for $30. I don't know how much they sell it for.
That gives me a great idea, you know. I know a couple of people who have sculpting skills. We could create our own and get it out into the circuit. Of course, they might deem that to be counterfeiting.
Yeah, I think they probably would get a visit from the Secret Service within hours.
Now, this was interesting. When Trump made his speech at the UN, there was a photograph and there was a picture of a pill next to his binder. Now, this fellow, who I saw on Instagram, I think, they figured out what pill it was. There was a number 20 on the side, and it was a 20 pill white oval 13 millimeter. The pill with the imprint 20 has been identified as tadalafil, used for erectile dysfunction, benign prostatic hyperplasia, pulmonary arterial hypertension.
I'd vote for that one.
I think that's the one. He's got how do you say that? Pulmonary. Pulmonary arterial hypertension.
I mean, you can't be as overweight as he is and not have some kind of heart stuff going on, you know?
Yeah.
I'm going with erectile dysfunction.
That could be a side effect, but I don't think that's the main gig.
Yeah, it's a twofer. He gets two things. Well, this is something that flew through, and I went to Education Week to check it out. But the Turning Point USA is embedding itself in some ways in schools.
How?
I don't know. I think they're trying to do clubs, I think,
Oh my God.
but they're also doing this the series of worksheets that you can download.
My Lord.
Wow.
The Life of Charlie Kirk worksheet. This is someone's kid brought this home, a fifth grader.
This is in public schools?
Now that
Not like
I
Christian
couldn't
schools or, so-called Christian schools.
I couldn't nail it down, to be honest, what school it came from. So I should be really honest about that. But any teacher could download this, bring it to their students and hand it out, but they might get in trouble. But it's got a full bunch of questions about, Charlie Kirk trivia.
Is there anything about Charlie Kirk that is not trivia?
Yeah, really.
Good point.
Then there's the idea that they're using worksheets. That's got to say a lot about their approach to education.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty sick. And I mean that in a bad way.
Yeah, it's not sick at all. It's horrible. Anyway, so this is happening. They're reshaping him. This was such a cool image. It's a university teacher at the University of Washington and all of her students following her, and they're chasing apparently a deranged man who came in screaming Heil Hitler and other sorts of things, Nazi things, and they chased him out of the classroom.
No, that's what we need to see more and more of.
Yeah.
What's this about being pepper sprayed?
I don't know. I think the fellow was being aggressive even as they were chasing him out. And he may have been pepper sprayed by the student, some of the students, or maybe campus security. I'm not sure how it went down completely. So this is troubling too. Adelita Grijalva is a sitting congressman, but she has not been sworn in yet. That's just unbelievable. Well, that went by too fast, sorry.
So they didn't swear her in to make sure that the vote on Epstein would go the way they wanted it?
Yeah,
That's the story. Mike Johnson is refusing to swear her in.
same strategy as McConnell used against Supreme Court
Exactly.
justices is delay, and then we're now so dependent upon the courts for any rectification of these transgressions. But I don't think things like inside the House or the Senate that there's any way that the public can bring a lawsuit to challenge these measures. Way beyond my pay grade to know that, but I'm wondering, what recourse is there to somebody not doing their job?
Well, arguably, he thinks he is doing his job.
Yeah, then
Rounds is what I'd ask.
Yeah, then I would say, boy, if we get through this alive and standing, we need to redefine all of these roles in governance, because that's exactly what the far right has done. It's just taken every potential ambiguity and manipulated it to their advantage. And that has to be signed, sealed, and delivered in some way such that you don't have these creeps masquerading as doing their job in the future.
They are evil, but they are also not dumb.
Yeah, no, they're smart. Yeah.
Yeah, this is wild.
Yeah.
The troops going into Chicago.
And the threat of imprisoning the governor of a state and the mayor of a major city under these false guises, or the guise of interference.
Yeah,
Deeply troubling.
that is wild.
Yeah. And how do we combat that?
Well, they can try.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is interesting. I mean, there basically a lot of people go to the ICE detention centers, and they were just standing on top of the building, shooting pepper spray, these pepper balls or something, down at people, and one of them hit a priest who was standing there in the head. And they're just shooting randomly. I guess if you step onto their driveway, you're not on the sidewalk anymore.
Oh, they're getting hella aggressive. Chicago's not that far from me. I was actually thinking of, shooting over there. No pun intended.
Watch that language.
Yeah, be careful. But, I mean, the protests, I don't know how aggressive people are getting in Chicago on the streets, but they are not being very aggressive in Portland. I mean, this is in Portland, I think, but yeah. Kristi Noem was up on the
picture of the guy in Portland in the chicken suit across from the ICE facility. There's nobody else there, just the guy in the chicken suit.
Yeah.
The sign. I was cracking up.
There is a video, and I think this was in Seattle, of a bunch of ICE agents chasing a guy, dressed as a pickle.
Oh my God.
It's actually pretty hilarious. You see all these guys sort of converging on this very large pickle, heading down the street, kind of waddling as he goes.
There was another.
It's comic.
There was another one. There was a guy on a bike, and he was up against some ICE agents, and he was screaming "Fuck Trump!" And finally, one of the guys said, "Get him!" And he took off riding, did a little quick turn, aced everybody. One guy tripped, and the guy got away on his bike. I was like, "Go, buddy!"
I think there's something to be said for showing up to these protests in the most absurd costume you can think of. I think it deflates the aggressiveness. It turns it into a comedy.
I think everybody
Wavy
should show up.
Gravy. Do you know who Wavy Gravy is?
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
Wavy Gravy used to show up to anti-war demonstrations dressed as a clown. Precisely that reason.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool if everybody showed up in a blue suit with a red tie and a blonde wig and a red nose,
Hmm.
which would send a new message.
Yeah, but maybe that's a strategy that's potentially worthwhile. The comedy and satire, of course, but also fewer people protesting would then potentially set up a lawsuit to say that the idea of referring to Portland as ravaged by war and or Chicago unsafe could enter the courts and saying, just as I forget what her name is in Portland, or the judge that ruled against troops being sent to Portland, is holding Trump accountable for that egregious language and exaggerated language. So maybe that's another way of approaching this, which is no people out front, and then therefore there's no threat, and thus no need for any forces.
Yeah, but you got to hope the courts are going to say what we hope they say.
Yeah, exactly. If not, then massive protests would be what would have to result if the courts weren't supported.
Did you guys hear about that judge's house burning down in South Carolina? It's the same judge that several days ago had ruled against Trump on, I don't even remember what it was, but like several days later, well, let's see, was it Steve Miller that said something to the effect of this is a terrorist attack on America by the courts,
Right.
and her house burned down. Like the night, and within 48 hours, her house burned down with her kids inside. I might add.
Yeah.
They survived.
Yeah.
But
I don't think they've made a direct, accusation of anyone yet, but it looks pretty fishy.
well, glad I brought it up then.
No, I'm glad you did too, and I'll drop a picture in. But Trump is taking advantage, of course, of the shutdown, the government shutdown, and meeting with Russell Vought. I think people say vote sometimes too, to determine which agency should be, cut or wounded.
Political scams, I like that term. Talk about political scams.
Yeah.
I don't know if there probably is a running website that says how much the Trumps have netted from this presidency, and the last was, I forget, the last was like $2.5 billion or something like that, counting all the properties and stuff that Secret Service had to stay at in order to protect the president when he goes to Mar-a-Lago and all that junk. And then his golf game, how much that costs us, and yeah, talk about scams.
Actually, I prefer that he played golf.
Certainly.
Just
On his own.
leave everything else. Well, I will pay him to play golf as opposed to.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Well, the U.S. military is worried about getting their pay, but Trump is promising to pay them, but not everyone. He's saying certain people he may not pay during the after the shutdown concludes.
If the shutdown concludes,
Yeah.
they're making hay off this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how these things, how do they normally resolve themselves, these shutdowns? I think the other shutdown, I was not in the country when it happened. I think I was out of the country.
Yeah, I was here for it. The interesting thing to me is this week, people are going to be getting their notices about their new premiums. I'm wondering how that's going to be played.
Yeah.
If it's going to be played in the news. So far, I haven't heard squat. I haven't seen any articles except for the speculation about how much it's going to cost once it happens. Now it's happening, and I haven't seen a thing.
Yeah, Trump's instigating a really interesting little crisis because the people who will be impacted is going to include his base. And if they're not sitting up and taking notice, they will.
Well, ranchers and farmers, self-employed people, people that don't have insurance through their work.
Yep.
It's the bottom of the pile, you know.
What if it's enough?
This is interesting. I didn't hear about this.
Yeah, Lutnick said this.
Yeah, Howard Lutnick, the Secretary of the Commerce, was talking. I guess apparently he lived next door to Jeffrey Epstein in New York, is my understanding. And he was invited over to see the massage room, and came out and said that he was using it to blackmail people. I put in a longer transcript of what he said, but boy,
Connected thing suggesting that Trump's considering a pardon for Ghislaine.
yeah.
She must have some shit on him.
You think?
Oh yeah.
He probably has it on more than him.
This is Lutnick at the inauguration. He's a billionaire.
Why?
He has a few
Of
billion
course he is.
dollars.
What is he doing?
I don't know. I thought it was a funny picture.
He's suggesting which way to go.
But do you think it was an orchestrated move? Do you think they did this to maybe, make Trump the victim? He's being blackmailed? Do you know what I mean? Were they that stupid? So what he said is Lutnick's comment on hidden cameras, video evidence. Lutnick believes that encounters in Epstein's massage room, which he and his wife were shown during a tour of Epstein's Manhattan townhouse in 2005, were filmed without the guest's knowledge. Leverage for leniency. Based on his assumption that incriminating footage was captured, Lutnick speculated that Epstein traded the videos to the government in exchange for his favorable 2008 plea deal. The deal allowed Epstein to avoid federal charges and receive a reduced sentence of 18 months with work release privileges.
That would-
2008, that would be Bush Jr., wouldn't it? No, hold on. That would be under Obama.
Depends on when in 2008, I suppose. Anytime after January 20th.
So you
Yeah,
wonder,
you're right. So probably Bush. 2008 was the election, so Obama didn't become president until January. So yeah, Bush. Am I right on my dates? I get a little confused.
I think you're right on your dates.
But almost suggests that Bush might be, entangled himself.
Possible.
And then think about all of the right-winger huge donors to the far right that are likely embroiled in this as well. So it's not just the celebrity, the politicos that I think are nabbing. So I think the pressures are coming both from politicos as well as very wealthy people.
Yeah.
a lot of powerful people, a lot of billionaires don't want their
Yep.
their videos out. you know,
Exactly.
so there's pressure coming that way.
Yeah. And maybe that's what we want to see really is the heck with the paper, just show the darn videos.
Yeah, I'd be up for that.
Yeah. Create a new porn channel, right? Celebrity videos. Make your own billion that way.
You could develop a whole new sub-channel on Pornhub.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff went by without comment today.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about that idea that Trump says he's not going to pay to all the, 600,000 government employees who are currently furloughed, except for the military.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I think that might be challenged in court.
Yeah. Well, it's a great build-up to this coming week, which seems like it's going to be very interesting because we're going to be deeper into the shutdown. The ICE thing is going to continue to blow up. We didn't mention that raid in Chicago.
Yeah.
What was the
Where
raid? Tell us.
Well, it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. ICE shows up at this apartment in the south side of Chicago, and they pull like all the tenants out. I mean, literally, they're breaking down doors, grabbing whole families, kids, babies. And they're zip tying them and throwing them into vans. They separate the kids from the parents. Kids are undressed. They're out there in the cold in Chicago at 1 a.m., naked and zip tied and tossed into a van, separated from their parents. I mean, that's the big thing. There was a statement, one witness said that she confronted an ICE officer about that. His response was, "Fuck those kids." You guys didn't hear about this?
No.
I heard a little bit about kids being taken out and zip tied together, but I didn't know where it was coming from,
This
to
is
be honest.
bad. This is really bad.
Yeah.
This is, there's a level of ick to this in addition to just complete dismissal of any legal restraint or constraint. Yeah, it's bad. Look it up. Maybe this should be included in our discussion next week, although it probably won't be forefront in the news. It is probably worth some level of discussion. ICE is getting really weird. They did this march up and down. Chicago has the Millennium Mile, is that right?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, so the ICE troops did like a little parade up and down the Millennium Mile for no real obvious reason. They weren't like busting anybody. They were just, it was a show of force.
They did a similar thing in LA when they got a bunch of ICE agents on horses and rode through Griffiths Park.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And it's like, here comes the cavalry, you bet, you know? It's just,
Well, this is a little different than Griffith Park. You know,
yeah,
that's a park.
it is.
This is a major shopping hub. It's like the Gestapo, you know, hitting Mall of America.
Yeah. Yeah, we're way past brown shirts now. It's Gestapo technique.
Do you
Yeah,
think this
it-
will have an impact in the protests coming up? I mean, the protests.
Oh, I'm sure we'll be met.
Mm-hmm.
There,
Particularly if the ICE headquarters, you know, throughout the country are targeted, there'll definitely be a reaction.
it's interesting that our little area in the biggest city, there's marches happening from 3 different directions to converge in one park, and it makes me think maybe the march should be in as many different directions as we saw blue spots on the map towards DC.
Mm-hmm.
I've been wondering about that. Yeah, it's time for
Yeah, March on Washington.
it's time for a march on Washington.
Yeah.
One is planned. I had a sign for it, but it's a big commitment to get all the way out there for some of us, you know. But it's due.
I don't know, Roy. I
due.
seem to recall going to New York City for the anti-nuke rally back in the day.
Yeah.
When
And,
protesting was a hobby, not a necessity. Yeah.
Someone fairly close to you accompanied us on that.
I do remember that.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's possible.
Well,
We
let's
could do
hope it
it.
happens. There's never enough time here. I try to keep the program short. And that's fine if we need to go overtime and talk about these things. But there seems like there's never enough time to sort it all out or come to any conclusions. Too much happening.
And
Between the 4 of us, I'm sure you can arrange a carpool.
now you're cooking.
We'll pick you up on the way.
There you go, exactly.
Well, thank you for being here, everyone, at a bold and distant future, and listening and talking and discussing. And we'll meet back again next week, and we'll see where we're at. And I'll put that issue on the docket about the Chicago ICE raid.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be worse and more garish news about ICE raids by the time we come together again.
Yeah. Thank you for everyone being here, and stay strong, and we'll talk to you again.
Right.
Right.
Thanks.